What the fuck do you mean?
Hi, we're Red Blazer Productions, and we're here to tell you a bit about our filmmaking journey. The next film that we tried to make was a film that I'd written called Redress. I remember writing this film whilst doing like promo jobs and hosting jobs, just like on a little notepad and pen. And I'd just seen The Revenant multiple times. You know, I got obsessed with this genre and this period, and it still fascinates me. Not many people know about colonialism, so I'd written this film which kind of highlighted the mentality of people in that time who had gone and settled on indigenous land. This was my first attempt at a short film, and it just so happened to be an international shoot. We went and scouted in the Czech Republic, where my father lives, because there's lots of beautiful forest and great snow. And I made the mistake of inviting two friends to come along who obviously thought it was like a holiday. So it ended up being me, Hugo, and Dan Cabrita, who's also our Steadicam operator now.
Who take filmmaking seriously, by the way.
Yeah.
Unlike the two other friends. And this was in January 2019. Actual chaos.
We got some test shots. We got caught in a blizzard on the way back to the airport and almost missed our flight.
Which I had to drive, by the way. Bear in mind, I was 19 at the time. I hadn't been driving for like that long, really. I was driving in a foreign country on roads that were like a snowstorm. Like, it was insane.
Whoa. Where are we? What just happened? I don't even know if we were going forward or back.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
And this was after a whole lot of other chaotic stuff happening.
Action!
What we did was everything, obviously, again, on a low budget. I spent about £4,000 of my own money. A few other people contributed as well to, flights and accommodation. I remember ordering all these fabrics and making the costumes at home myself and sort of designing the looks and doing fittings in my living room. We were just emulating what we'd been through and experienced going through costume departments when we were on set as extras. And then, doing all the makeup as well. I bought this beard and this moustache and these extensions and put them all in. And then we ended up going and shooting, and we managed to get some amazing material. One of the biggest lessons for me in this shoot was scheduling, managing the time well within a shoot, because I had no idea what I was doing. On action, David's gonna be like, maybe take one step forward and be like, he's what, goddammit? Yeah?
He's what?
Yeah, he's what?
He's what? Okay.
And then...
Look at him.
Wait. What movement am I doing?
I was pulling pictures off Google of the kind of shots I want, and that was my storyboard. And no one really knew what the vision was. They just had this collage of images that I'd put together, which was just awful. We ended up going there and spending days not even being faithful to this storyboard, just kind of shooting whatever we could when we could. We used up a whole day just getting shots of me walking around through the snow, like left and right, up and down hills. And that wasn't even part of the schedule. It was just like a spontaneous decision. Every time I saw something nice, like a nice landscape, we just stopped, set up the camera, and just like filmed me walking up and down a few times. It was a waste of a day, to say the least. We made or bought most of the weapons ourselves, and we even created our own little armory in like a storage room inside the accommodation that we were staying in. But we needed rifles, so we hired an armorer, a professional armorer who came with 18th century muskets.
I remember one of the first shots we got with these muskets, these real muskets, was I was on the gimbal with the GH5, by the way, which is a great camera. And then two of the actors were basically shooting either side of me as I went through with the gimbal like a tracking shot. And I remember the guns going off and temporarily basically going deaf. Like I couldn't hear out my ears, and I got really concerned because, again, lessons for life rather than filmmaking. Very stupid. Why was I that close to the muskets? I do not know.
Over there!
They was very loud.
And not having, I mean, we had a trained armor on set, but you know, our health and safety was awful.
We didn't have health and safety. We were axe throwing in the woods, shooting muskets at anything. You know, we were shooting bow and arrows.
Woo!
Yeah, it was basically a lad's holiday with a lot of theatre. So it was intense.
So you're gonna, on action, step into shot, and obviously looking at the eye line, David would have already read his dialogue, and at that point, someone over there is gonna have been shot with an arrow. So we are then gonna.
Who's been shot over there?
Huh?
Who's been shot over there?
You know, neither of us went to film school, and yeah, the film never got made, so it can be considered as a failure, but I try not to look at it that way because it was a huge lesson for me, and it cost me £4,000, but film schools cost money.
And a lot more than that.
And a lot more than that. But I mean, you know, we obviously made way more mistakes down the line on top of this. But,
not as bad as those, though. I have
Yeah.
to say those are probably some of the worst. Forest and Redress taught us a lot.
Okay, so with the camera as well. So it's going to be static on here. Okay, and then when Will takes this shot, and then we're going to, you go.
Yeah.
And we're going to pan round to Dan, who's then going to take a shot.
Hey, I need to... Okay, just explain that one more time.
A lot. But that's all part of filmmaking, you know. Make the mistakes early on, you know. Make some cheap short films. Although they didn't feel cheap, £4,000 to £5,000. That's a lot of money, especially when you're just starting out.
My next film was about £350, and it was 7 suspects. We're going to talk about that in the next episode, but yeah, I mean, just in comparison, you know, it's a fraction of the cost.
There's a reason it cost £350.
And we also recycled some of the costumes and makeup bits that we got for the original films.
Redress was definitely an experience, and you know, some of the material we got was really nice. You know, even now, years later, I look back at the material we got for Redress, and I'm like, gosh, it's such a shame we never actually finished that film. Speaking of which, you should probably say why we didn't finish it. We've kind of hinted at it, but there's not like any. You know,
Yeah. Well, Redress kind of became a project that was dead in the water. It took ages to get it back on track, and you know, we spoke about going and shooting like in England and finishing it here. But you know, other projects took priority, and we just sort of evolved beyond that and decided not to go back to it.
If you want to give it a different perspective, you know, this interview cost £4,000 because the only time we're showing the footage from Redress is right now in this interview, so it's a very expensive interview.
I also did cut it into my director's showreel because
it's a good showreel.
It's beautiful. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
I guess that's what.
Okay.